Good morning, everybody. I'm Lisa Stone. I'm here with Sandy Franz. I'm on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast. Hey, Sandy, how's it going?
Hey, Lisa, very good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. So, you and I just kind of met online, and we don't really know each other so well yet. And I don't know who in our audience knows you, but why don't you give us a little bit of your backstory in tennis? Tell us how you came up and what you're doing now.
I started playing tennis at a later age with 12 and a half, 13 years. And my dream was to become a professional tennis player. But my coach made me in Germany realize very quickly that, it's a long path and it's very difficult to become a professional tennis player. So he mentioned to me 17, 18 years ago that there's a path of college tennis in the United States. And I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. What is it? I have no idea. And so I started looking into this, and I was able to work with a company in Germany back in the days. It's called Uni Experts, who helped me to find a university, find an opportunity to play college tennis. And I made my way to the University of South Carolina Upstate, where I started playing and competing in Division II. And the last 2 years, I was actually competing in Division I. And my experience, and I'm very grateful any day about this experience, that I had the chance to play with a scholarship in the United States to play Division II and Division I tennis, was absolutely amazing. I love the college system so much. I love the people. I love the way everything is set up, that you can compete on a high level, but at the same time, you're getting in a first-class education. All the professors have been so helpful throughout the whole process, and loved my experience here in the US so much that, I went, finished my degree. I went back to Europe for a year. I took my master's in sports management, but the last 10 years, I've been basically helping with Uni Experts, other tennis players from all around the world, to be honest, but also here in the US, some of them, to play college tennis and, find the right school, because there are many different schools, many different coaches, many different majors you can find. And my goal is to basically share my experience with others internationally, but also now here in the US, to find the right school, because I know it's an amazing opportunity and I absolutely loved everything. The reason why I moved back to the United States, and then I finished my introduction, is that my wife, who I actually where I met in London, not in the United States, is American, and she's from New Jersey, and she said when we get married, I was able to pick the state, and I loved South Carolina and Charleston so much that we decided to move here. So that's
Nice.
my short version of the story.
Nice. So, there are a lot of people that say, we need to be limiting the number of college or international players on college teams, because they come here, they take the scholarship, they get their education, then they go back to their countries, then they don't ever give back to their community here in the States. You are a living, breathing example of somebody who came from another country, valued your experience so much that not only did you come back here to contribute, but you stayed in the college tennis world and are making a big contribution in the college tennis world. So thank you for that.
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it is something so unique, where I do believe the United States, the way you value sports and the way you value commitment, teamwork, and build a team. I think it's something so unique, and I feel like it's amazing to spread that with the world, and be an open country and invite people from all around the world to participate. And what I loved about my experience was that we had Americans in the team, we had internationals in the team, all these different cultures, to get to know the cultures, get to know their, what they're doing, like from South America, the American culture, then the German. And I personally love that melting pot of international and Americans in one team, and going to basketball, watch basketball, and build relationships with those people. Like I said, I love my job. I love giving back, and I just, because it gave so much to me in my life, in the world of like getting a great education, building great relationships, friends, and network all around the world. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity, for sure.
Sure. And I see you're wearing a Solinco shirt, so I got to give a shout out to my friends Katie and Norman at Solinco. Hey guys, if y'all are tuning in, love those guys, and it's a great company. For those of you not familiar with Solinco String, and they make a lot of other things now, but take a look at them. Yeah,
we've been working with them, and in Germany with Uni Experts, we are basically, and I know in the US it's more common about recruiting showcases, like for college coaches and stuff. And in Germany with Uni Experts, we have been building a tennis showcase. We started 7 years ago, and Solinka was from day one supporting the showcase, and it has been an amazing experience. Like, unfortunately, this year due to COVID, we had to cancel the event because nobody knows if you're allowed to travel, but it normally takes place in July, and we had like 120 kids from all around the world, 45 coaches flying from the US to Germany. It was a nice event, and I love Solinka, and I'm very grateful for them to support not only the showcase, but now here a tennis series of Charleston Tennis Circuit as well in the US.
Well, and they're huge supporters of college tennis overall. They support a lot of programs here in the U.S. And I'm not as familiar with their international support, so nice to hear that they're supporting events overseas as well. So, talk to us a little bit about international recruiting, because I had posted a question on a college recruiting Facebook page, I guess 2 weeks ago now, just asking, are international junior players aware of what's going on with college tennis here in the States with COVID-19 and cutbacks and programs getting cut, scholarships getting reduced, recruiting budgets being reduced, coaches not being able to go to things like recruiting showcases, etc. And the answer I got from pretty much everybody that responded was, they may know a little bit about what's happening, but they don't really have their finger on the pulse of how dire the situation really is in this moment. Now, that's not to say things aren't going to change, but as of right now, the news is not great.
And I couldn't agree more with you. It's a very important aspect in the international recruiting. Of course, there is the news, and you get the media, and you get information about college sports and tennis, but it's not in as much as in depth as if you would be here. I think the international players who are currently actually involved in college tennis, like they're playing for school, they are informed and they're getting all the messages. They're staying in touch with the coaches. They're staying in touch with admissions to see what's going on. But especially for the ones who are planning to come in the future, especially the ones who are getting like consultation right now, I think, and this is a shout out to all recruiting companies who work internationally, I think it's very important for us to make sure we educate those young, ambitious athletes. It's not only tennis, like it's many other sports as well, to educate them, make them aware of the situation, make aware of changes. Something we just done with Uni Experts, we have done a questionnaire for all the coaches to get feedback, like how do they see the recruiting in the next year? What are you looking for in the future? Do you need bigger budgets from players? And so we can adjust the consultation with those young, ambitious, and future athletes in the sense of like, hey, if you want to play college sports, you might have to have more money. Might to invest more money. The scholarships are more limited. There's more demand for it now, and things like that. So that's something we are really trying to be proactive with Uni Experts and trying to adjust to the new situation, which of course is new for all of us. And with sadness, I'm following like programs are being cut, and as unfortunately, tennis is one of the first programs which is going to be cut. When I talk to coaches, some of the universities are giving different tiers to different sports, and most of the time, tennis is like in the lower tiers, which was the tear in my eye. I follow this, but we are trying our best to make everything possible to support coaches, and help them and build more trust, especially in those difficult times. Share information like I'm joining calls with coaches and see, how can you do fundraisers? What can you do to be proactive and things like that. So I think it's very important for the recruiting companies now to really make an adjustment, to be very honest and communicate very good with those young kids who plan to come in the future.
Right. And let me just say really quickly, those of you watching, if you have questions, you can just type them in the comments and I'll see them as they come in and can relay them to Sandy. So make sure you do that. But Sandy, one of the things you said, was about the college tennis programs being kind of at the bottom of the list in terms of priority for universities to preserve in this time of big budget cuts. One of the things that's come up in conversations that I've had, and I'm sure in conversations that you've had too, is, if you have a college tennis team and there are only 8 or 10 players on the team, that's an easy target for athletic directors or university administrators because it's only 8 kids that are impacted. And so what I am starting to hear now, and I don't know if you're hearing the same thing, is this talk of we need to expand our roster size. Not that more kids can be in the lineup, because the lineup is what it is, size is what it is, but we need to engage a bigger number of kids on our team so that we become tougher to cut.
I know some of the programs have discussed this, and some of the programs are actually already implementing those changes, and some of them have done it in the past already. And I agree, it's a way to, being the chances to be cut less is there. However, I think an approach, and which I've felt like in the most discussions I had with coaches, is like to really be proactive. To engage the people more, the alumni more, be more engaged with the community, be getting more people involved in the tennis team, having more people donating money to the team. And I feel like that's where I try to encourage coaches a lot more as well. Because if you have the community, the tennis community in your college town or wherever you're located, is behind you, and they're supporting, they're coming out, they're giving yearly donations, and the alumni giving more donations, even internationals, even if it's only like $100 a year from an internet, it doesn't matter. Like you're building that community, and I think that's something where I personally believe is going to be a huge difference in the future, where coaches have to try to focus on coaching and taking care and managing a team, which is already so much work and takes so much commitment, and I know that. But on the other hand, I believe a huge aspect in the future, which I think makes a difference for college tennis and getting cut as a program, is if you have a community behind you, it's very hard for an athletic director to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to cut tennis.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an important point, and I feel like a great change in the communications of the coaches, which I've been participating, that they put a lot of focus on that, and seeing how they can engage more community, building fundraisers, doing events, and coming out to the tennis clubs and play. So I really hope this is going to be the route they're going to take, and I deeply in my heart hope that this shows the athletic director that the tennis community and the college tennis coaches are proactive and showing them we're going to make this happen, and even COVID-19 is not going to kill us.
Yeah. So let's talk about the specifics of international recruiting, because I think there's a lot of confusion around how a player outside of the United States is, one, even identified by American college coaches, and two, what the requirements are to apply and become accepted to a college or a university here in the States. Because obviously SAT, ACT, GPA, that's a very American, kind of thing. So what's it look like for those kids outside of our country?
It's and it's a great question, Lisa. First of all, I have to admit it's amazing, because the Americans, they grew up with all of this.
Right.
For national kids, this is something completely new. So I feel like when we have free consultation sessions with any applicant coming to Uni Experts, we have a free individual consultation to explain them how the process works, what they can expect. It's like an interview kind of thing to see if they fit the college level, and if it fits budgets and needs and things like that. And yes, then what we do is we guide them through the whole process. Like you said, we have SAT prep, we have TOEFL tests. So internationals have to take TOEFL tests. Now Duolingo is becoming more popular with COVID-19, which is another language test. So they basically, those tests are to see how their English level is, to see if they're going to be, doing well in school.
Right. So they have to be able to sit in a lecture or read a textbook or whatever, write a paper, and have a good enough command of the English language in order to communicate clearly.
Exactly. And I can talk only about my own experience on that part. And, when I came my first semester, it was a huge change. I mean, my high school English was pretty good. I had it for 7-8 years in high school, and I was fine to have a conversation. But now I'm coming to South Carolina, where it's a certain accent.
Right. I was going to say the southern accent. Oh gosh,
southern accent. So I fly in, and I get there, and I was really having a hard time to first understand, because I wasn't used to this. Right. But something I love about the college system, the support of the professors in my first, and all the years, but especially my first semester, was amazing. So my English went from I would say a 5 to a 9, and I felt so comfortable. Because they help you. If I have a question, and I could always ask them. And so that's something I loved so much about the college system, because they treated me like, you know, I was any student, but so supportive that I would be successful. And when I had felt that comfortable support from the school, I felt like I'm going to make this happen. So I go to work longer because my first semester, my English wasn't the level of any native English-speaking person, right, or student.
Right.
But it was so helpful that I made it happen, and that's why I love my experience as well so much, because the support was there in any means. However, to come back to your questions, you know, it's a SAT they have to take like any American kid. We take the TOEFL and the Duolingo test now. The Duolingo is something came up new. We did the TOEFL test more. Most schools accepted it. But then we have to translate all the transcripts from, you know, the native language in English. They have to be certified. Then the application process is longer. We have to do a visa process. So you have to go to consulates in Germany. It's in Frankfurt or like in Munich or in Berlin to get a visa. So you get a student visa, which is valuable for 4 years so that you can graduate in time. Right?
Which allows you to get through customs when you get to the States.
Exactly.
and be legally in this country, which we'll reserve comment on that for a later time. But I mean, it's not just so simple that, you know, they decide that they want to get recruited by a school and the coach, you know, signs off on it and here they are. There are a lot of steps. Okay, so keep going.
And that's what we help. And then, you know, something here in the US you grew up with, oh, what is the NCAA? You have college sports. What is the NAIA? But in Germany, nobody knows. Or like in international recruiting, nobody knows. So
Americans don't know either. Americans know Division I, and that's it. We are terribly undereducated on Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college. Terribly undereducated. Yes.
And I personally believe they're amazing schools. And I don't want to mention certain schools now, but you know, if you have like affinity for arts, they're amazing schools in arts on the West Coast, actually, like in Division II, and one here in Savannah in the NAIA, which are great in sports, but amazingly academically. So I feel like, and that's where I really hope we can make a difference, is like we can educate those kids, because our goal is not only to find the right school in tennis. Our goal is also to find a school which academically suits exactly the needs of our, you know, students. And that's something we pride ourselves and hope that, you know, spread the word here in the United States a little bit more as well. Also in Charleston, like, you know, that people get to know me, you know, how we help kids. And there's more. There's not only NCAA Division I, and it's amazing. And I love NCAA Division I sports, don't get me wrong. But, you know, there are sometimes really good fits in schools which are NCAA Division II, NCAA Division III, or NAIA. Even junior college sometimes, you know, if this is a route you have to go. So.
Right. And I think, you know, it's interesting because we see a lot in Division II, very international heavy rosters in Division II tennis. Very few American players on the rosters in Division II. And again, I think it's because we're undereducated about what Division II has to offer. And most of our kids, and as a result, the parents, are brought through the tennis journey thinking it's Division I or bust, right? If you don't go Division I, you failed somehow, where that's really an incorrect assumption or mindset. And every kid is so different. And I'm glad to hear you talk about, like, it's not just about finding the right tennis fit, but just like with the American kids, you have to find the right academic fit. You have to find the right geographic fit. You know, if a kid comes from a country that they're used to tropical weather all the time, they might not be so happy in a place where there's snow and ice on the ground 5 or 6 months out of the year, you know? So all of these things come into play. Scott's saying tennis on campus has hurt that as well. Scott, I'm not sure what you mean about that. Maybe you can clarify in your comment what you mean by tennis on campus has hurt that as well. But I just, you know, there's so many factors that play in besides the amount of scholarship money. And
I agree. And like what we do is before, you know, when kids talk to different schools, like we sit down and we discuss exactly those things. Like, do you prefer a big school? Do you prefer a smaller school? Do you like to be in a big city? Do you prefer to be on the countryside? Because these are all factors. If you're coming from if you live in South Carolina, a little bit on the countryside, is it smart to go to New York and, you know, have a completely different lifestyle? And those things are, like you just mentioned, do you want to have a big school, a small school? Are, I think, important factors to decide where you're going and where tennis could take you also. Because, like I said, I was lucky enough to play Division II and Division I tennis. as you know, like this, I get this question all the time. It's like when you become the Division II champion, you basically get promoted to Division I, because that's something which is very common in international sports, right?
Yeah.
And I said no, because there are certain regulations from the NCAA that you have to do Division I. So it's like the top teams in Division II. Amazing tennis. I mean, they're playing high level, and it's really good tennis.
And same at Division III, and same at NAIA, and same at junior college. I mean, the teams at the top are unbelievably good. So Scott just clarified what he meant, that tennis on campus has hurt things. He says a lot of players will go to a larger school and play club tennis instead of going to a smaller D2 or D3 school and playing collegiate tennis. Okay, that's what I thought you might have meant, Scott, but I didn't want to make an assumption. So yes, and I think we see that more with American players than we do with international players. Am I right about that, Sandy? That the international players aren't coming here to play club tennis. Correct. They're coming for scholarship spot. Or potential scholarship spot.
Potential. Like we have walk-on kids, like who just want to come over to the United States, and you know, we work with Division III and other schools where they want to have the experience of getting an education in the United States, learn English, play tennis, but also, like, you know, get a good education, which is where the tennis is focused, but not, and the academics is very high as well. So it's nice to get a scholarship, but it's not always guaranteed, you know.
So one of the questions that I get a lot too, Sandy, is, well, not questions, but kind of comments is, you know, why aren't the college coaches working harder to bring Americans on the teams? Why do they just default to the international kids? And what I hear from a lot of the coaches that I talk to is they would love nothing more than to fill their rosters with kids from their local community who the local community already know and would come out and support in terms of watching or writing checks or engaging with the team. But a lot of times those kids just aren't available for whatever reason, and there's a myriad of reasons. So where they've got to fill their rosters, right? They got to go somewhere. So if the American kids aren't available for whatever reason, then they're taking that step and starting to explore opportunities with kids outside the U.S. And let's face it, there's some amazing players from places, you know, well-known and not so well-known around the world who come and bring an invaluable kind of cachet to the team. You know, they bring that extra something because they're from a different culture, they're from a different background, they may speak a different language, they have different traditions, and from an enrichment standpoint, I mean, what a gift to everybody on the team to be able to learn from one another like that.
I agree 100%. And I think and there are many different issues, right, with that. And one of the point you mentioned, or the question was even said, that, you know, some of the good kids that then decide to go to a school, but then prefer, I'm not going to make the team, I just want to play club tennis or, like, you know, joining the club. So I think there you lose a lot of players, unfortunately, alone in the US system, which could be good players in whatever, like any other division, like lower Division I school, like or middle Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, whatever it would be. And yes, of course, then also, like, if I look at the coaches, you know, the pressure and like being successful and things like that, and then they see I have a hard time to recruit local kids or like even kids from here, but I have to compete at the same time. So I think it's a really fine balance. And like I said, for me personally, I felt very lucky. I felt very appreciated. It was open up in the American community at my college. I still have relationships. I still go and visit the school as much as I can, even though my tennis program was canceled, like before COVID-19, unfortunately. I still love the people there, and I think it's a huge blessing in the sky and something I will appreciate my whole life, and because it's such an invaluable thing, college sports and college tennis in general.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit, because something else you're doing right now is running a series of junior tournaments, and you're running them through the UTR platform. So those of you who have been watching these live streams over the last couple of weeks, you know that USTA junior events are on hold right now. The big national events, we still don't know about national hard courts, but obviously clay courts was canceled. But UTR is providing this platform for tournament directors or anyone really who wants to step up and hold a junior tournament. So, Sandy, why don't you tell us what you're doing? And really, I think one of my questions and biggest concerns, because we're in the midst of COVID-19, is what kind of safety measures are you taking and are you hearing from other tournament directors that they're taking to make sure that families traveling to these tournaments are protected?
Great. Such a good question again. And let me start from the get-go. Why UTR for me? I got with UTR a long time ago in the sense of like I heard about it. We since we host a showcase in Germany and I'm a little bit responsible for that, and we know that college coaches are really looking for universal tennis ratings nowadays, and no German tennis player gets UTR. So there are no verified UTR tournaments in Germany. We decided that our tennis showcase should be UTR tournament so that the coaches at least get a chance to see what their UTRs might be in the future, right?
Right.
And so I got exposed to UTR that way. The showcase has been hosted with UTR for the last 3-4 years. Has been good to us, valuable, and I enjoyed the platform in the sense of like using it as an event organizer.
Yeah, it's pretty simple to just jump right in and get your tournament set up, enter scores, and
it's easy. Like, you have flexibility in the sense of the process. Do you want to do round robin? Do you want to elimination? Right. So there are a variety of things. I mean, for me, the main reason why I used it back in the days because I wanted to give the kids who we work with and who come to our showcase it's coaches are looking for it. So that was my main reason why I used UTR. Sure. Right? For the coaches, for the kids to get UTRs and for the coaches to see, okay, they're competing for UTRs, as in Germany and some other European countries, they don't show any UTR results, right?
Okay.
So coming to the United States and living in Charleston now, which is unfortunately the clay courts, which are around the corner where I live, I got canceled. And another organizer, Patrick Kieber, a fellow German of mine and good friend, got canceled. Really, really sad decision. And I hated to see that because I really wanted to see them this year and see all the college coaches coming. But what we are doing here, and I'm creating with my wife together, Kelly, an event series for juniors. We do also some adult tournaments, but mostly juniors.
Okay.
To compete, right? And basically present myself as like, okay, I'm organizing events, I'm in the tennis community and building a relationship with those kids that they also know, hey, there's a college recruiter out there. So if I ever want to have help, there is somebody I can, trust and I can build a relationship with and hopefully can consult them in the future about that there are different opportunities as we discussed before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's the key of like starting this tournament. So my wife and I came up with the name of Charleston Tennis Circuit. So we are focusing specifically in tournaments here in Charleston, in the area of Charleston, of South Carolina, as this is it's so much tennis going on here, which is amazing. And what we are doing is we are hosting several tournaments throughout the year for juniors. We have now one coming up on June 19th to the 21st at Waldoons, which is a very nice facility right on the farm. I don't know if you have been with 17 clay courts. I got to know the tennis professional or the head, Carlos, who was a great college tennis player himself from Mexico. Was number 4 in Division I in doubles. Amazing. I mean, really good tennis player. And, he said, I want to support tennis locally and want to provide more opportunities. And that's where we come up with the whole concept. And our goal is also to create relationships and have an event experience than just a tennis tournament. So in the past, like for our other tournaments, we had a photo booth, we had a players corner for the kids where we had like a Nintendo Wii where they can play Smash Tennis. We had like a players party where we had like food, where we had guest speakers, where we built more relationships. We really tried to make it an engaging and fun atmosphere for the kids. We start thinking about like getting like the player cards, that they have their own player cards for the future, so that they feel like, oh my God, I'm at the professional tennis tournament, so that they have fun. It's more like about an experience, and that's where my wife comes in because she's from the event world and thinks outside the box. I'm the tennis guy, I'm thinking tennis related, and she thinks outside the box, and that's why I love.
Y'all are a good partnership.
I got very lucky on that sense, like amazing, like how we, it's just great to have different things and opinions about it. So coming up with the tournament now, and I have following, unfortunately, everything got canceled, and I've been following Germany quite a bit since I'm from there. And in Germany, actually, they started playing national tournaments again this weekend, so officially, and listen to everything. And I followed, of course, South Carolina guidelines. So, and with Breaking Heart, we decided that we want to host a tournament. That was the good part. But with Breaking Heart, we're going to take away all of the other social aspect of things, right? Because we wanted to make it a secure and safe environment. So we put COVID-19 measures in place, saying we limit the tournament for 60 people. We only play singles. There's no doubles. And, you know, it was for me more like, and for Kelly, to have an opportunity for the kids after 2-3 months of not be able to play, sometimes not even able to practice,
right,
to come out and have a chance to compete against, but level-based, meaning like against kids of the same UTR.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's something I really like. I like when there's the matches like 6-7-7, 6-7-6 instead of like 6-1, 6-1. And that's what we pride ourselves to really group the people in groups that they have, at least from UTR-wise, from the level, it's going to be a close match. And we guarantee 3 matches. So all the players going to have 3 matches. However, your question was more about the safety part, right?
Yeah.
So what measurements did we put in place? First of all, as you know, communicated from all, is like 6 feet difference space, right, apart, which is very important to us. What we also encourage all the people to do is bring their own chair. So we're going to have 2 markers, one on the left, one on the right, and we're going to mark them, and we're going to ask the one player to put it on the left-hand side of the field, the other one on the right-hand side, so that they have different angles. We
Their
also
own space on the court, you're saying.
Always space on the court, right? We also ask them to make sure that when they finish their courts, we have disinfection stations, like with all the stuff, so that they can clean the equipment, they can clean. I scheduled every match. I have a half an hour break, so my wife and I can go to the courts. We clean all the equipment and all the stuff, so it's clean, to make sure they feel safe. We ask every player to bring their own water bottles, enough water that they can last the whole match.
Mm-hmm.
We ask them to, you know, only come 10-15 minutes before the match, check in, go to the court, and we kindly, and I hate it. I really don't like it. It's not what I want to do.
No, of course not, because you want them to socialize. You want them to interact, but we just can't right now.
We can't right now. So we ask them to write after the match, report the score to us, and even tell them they can text me a text message on my phone. I don't care. And then leave again. And don't bring too many friends. We ask them to maximum bring 2 or 3 friends. Family is fine, but we don't want anybody else on the facility, because we really want to make it a safe place to play. There's no indoors. I mean, you don't have to go indoors. We have an outside registration. There is a pro shop, so if you need stringing, of course, you can leave the rackets outside. We're going to give it inside to the coach, and he's going to string the rackets. That's no problem, but there's no obligation to be inside. Everything is outside. We encourage people to wear a mask. My wife and I, we're going to have a funny CTC mask with a smiling tennis ball, but we don't force anybody to do that, because everything is outside, right? So I think there's enough space to, you know, keep the distance and things like that. And yeah, I also scheduled, we have like 12 courts available. I scheduled the first round, for example, like if there's one round, I have 6 courts coming at 10 o'clock and then the other 6 courts coming at 10:30. So there's always like a spread.
Staggered. Yeah.
Because we're just trying to avoid everything as much as we can. When they sign in, we have 6 feet. Like, I don't know, in Costco, in our place here in Charleston.
Yeah. The marks on the ground. Yeah.
We do the same. It's all about like being proactive. For example, our waivers, everybody has to sign a waiver. I do it now digitally, so every player gets an email. They can sign it online if they want to.
Nice.
So we're really trying to be proactive. However, we just, my wife came up with a great idea as well. Now, we still want to be social in the sense of like, you can be digitally social, right?
Yeah, sure.
So we have like a little, you know, fun props in the welcome bag, so that they can take funny pictures, and then hopefully they can post it on social media and have like a little competition there. But like any social, we want everybody to do social distancing at the event and at the venue, and trying to encourage competition with safety guidelines of COVID-19.
So one question that came up in regards to another event that I hadn't even thought about, but what if somebody is diagnosed with COVID-19 during the event? What do you do in that case? I mean, I think the likelihood's probably pretty rare, unless they were already, you know, exposed, let's say before they got there, obviously, but.
You know, and that's something we have them sign the waiver for. I mean, we ask asked them, and I think the USTA did a great job on that part. They had like this, if you had
health waiver.
outbreak, if you had any symptoms before, please don't sign up. And we really encourage that, like really don't sign up. I mean, if it happens and somebody finds out about it, we will put measures in place to see, okay, who have you been playing with, who has been in contact with you, so that we can provide those information, because with the tournaments here, I see it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we will do our best to prevent everything we can do. If something happens, then we will go from there and think about it, like how we can.
Sorry, my dog is going nuts a second.
That's the beauty about life.
That's Sully and Louie next door, and they're going to engage for a second. So another question I had for you is, again, regarding COVID-19. And, wait, we're getting ready to have a bark fest here. Okay, hang on one second. Sully, hey. Sully, come here. Come here. Come here. He can't help himself. So I don't think we're so concerned, necessarily about, it sounds like you have accommodated to make sure that people aren't going to congregate, that, they're going to keep their distance and all of that. But one thing that you and I were discussing before we went on air is this whole notion of, I'm so sorry about the dog. Hang on, somebody's at my door. It's crazy around here. One of the things we had talked about was that, why Sully, come here, Sully. Sully. Oh my goodness. Was the reason for playing the tournaments in the first place, right? So I've said this several times over the last week or so. USTA has frozen its junior rankings. So nothing your kid is doing right now is going to factor into their USTA ranking. So this sense of, if I don't take my kid to a tournament, they're going to fall behind their peers, and it's going to negatively impact their ranking and their ability to get into other events and their ability to get recruited for college. That's really irrelevant right now. And you have to have a different reason for wanting to take your kid and for your kid wanting to compete right now. Let's talk a little bit about that, Sandy.
Yeah, of course, yeah. When I talk to, I know a lot of coaches here in the community, and I've been talking to them, and it felt like that, there was not a need, but there was a desire for some of the kids to play. And,
Right.
My goal with the tournament was not like to provide, you're going to compete for every match is for verified each year. But, I agree with the point of view in the sense of like all the USTA rankings are frozen. However, I felt like some of the kids felt like a need. I want to compete again. I want to be out there. I want to, have competition. And that was the goal with this tournament, to say, we want to build you a safe environment, but also give you the opportunity to start playing again. Because once the USTA opens up again and the tournaments are running and you had a chance to compete already some matches, you are a little bit, like, I wouldn't say ahead of the game, but you feel a little bit more comfortable with the tournament setting again. And that's actually funny that you mentioned this, because I just had the Carlos, the head tennis director of Waldoons, giving tips about like what to do after COVID-19 to start playing a tournament again, because you haven't been competing much. So I think it's a good chance for kids to come out again, compete, show what they're what they have missed for the last 3 months. But it's, for me, yes, it's great to compete for UTR and it's great to improve that rating. But for me, it's more about, hey guys, there is a chance in a safe environment to still compete, enjoy and play the sport you love in a competitive environment. That's the main reason why we do this. And that's why
and let's not worry about UTR. Let's not worry about USTA ranking. Let's not worry about tennis recruiting stars right now. Let's just phase back into competition, because, the last thing we want is for these kids who have been sitting out for 3 months to come back to their first event and wind up injured or wind up sick because their bodies aren't used to the vigors of competition. They haven't been out there, and we don't want them to come out and overdo it their first tournament back, and then they're set back another however long because of injury or illness. So I think we've all got to use some common sense around this, and really watch our kids as the parents and as the coaches. Keep a close eye on your kid. Notice, their energy level. Notice how they're eating and drinking. Notice how they're moving on the court. Notice their mindset. Are they freaking out over this, or are they able to just kind of calmly step back in and be out on the court and enjoy it? And take your signals from your child. Let them guide how quickly and how much you get back into competition right now. Understanding that we've all been away from it. Everybody's been
away. I think that was really well phrased. And I mean, the good thing is, and like I said earlier, we limited our registration to only 60, and we opened this tournament for any level, as long as they can prove full court, right? Because I didn't want to just say only the top players or like the beginner. Like, we wanted to offer this tournament for everyone. And so we have from 1 UTR to 10 UTR players, which is awesome. And I love to see that, because even beginners, if they want to compete, I wanted to give them this opportunity. But
how are you structuring your draws?
It's great. What I'm going to do is we just do round robin this one. We want to guarantee everyone 3 matches. So I'm going to look through the levels. I'm going to group them in groups of 4, and then they're going to play 3 matches. It's a minimum of 3. So if I have uneven numbers, I even ask the kids when they're registered, would you be willing to play a 4th one if you can? And they all give me like an answer. So if I feel like I have uneven numbers, I provide, as long as the weather permits, even a 4th match if they wanted to.
Nice.
So it's for me about like playing time and opportunity instead of like, this is the winner. And something which we love and unique about this tournament, because it's not an elimination round, right? We don't can give an award to the winner. You're the first place. So what we came up with is we have 2 different awards. We have a sportsmanship award for female and male. So whenever somebody is like, air high five, good ball, clapping hands.
No high fiving, touching rackets.
Air high five, like from
air high five.
Air high five, like this. No touching. It's even called in our guideline, and we hang those guidelines, by the way, out.
I'm still pushing for namaste. I
like that too. That's really nice too.
I'm still pushing for that. Nobody's picked up on that one yet. But.
I've never thought about it. That's a great one too. We call it, like, I made a video and I said an air high five from 6 feet apart, so just no contact. And however, we have a sportsmanship award, and we're going to mail those. I mean, they're not going to be handed out at the tournament. We're just going to mail them out at the end. And then we have achieved a top performance award, we call it. So for every game you win, it doesn't matter if you lose or win, you get 1 point. And then when you win a match, you get another 3 points. So at the end, even if you lost one match 6-7, 6-7, you get 12 points, and then you win you have a chance to still win it. Yeah. And we do that for the female and the male. So it doesn't matter which level you are, you still have a chance to win that award. And that's how we structured a little bit to basically get playing opportunities out there again in a competitive environment. And I have to be honest, the desire right now has been great. We have already 45 kids registered, only 15 spots left, and we have until next week Tuesday, when the registration deadline is over, until 11:30 at night. So the feedback and the interest has been great. I'm very happy about it.
Fantastic. And I can't remember if I put the link to register for these tournaments in the little description of our live stream here. I can type it into the comments too. So those of you who are looking, because the UTR URLs to register for tournaments aren't like just straightforward. So
and we have a website as well. I mean, the charlestontennis.com. We provide all the information, what we are all about, our mission, what tournaments we are having. Since we have more tournaments throughout the year, we have one in another junior tournament in October. We just have another one in December, one in March next year. So there are many more tournaments coming, and we want to build something which people recognize as a great event experience when COVID-19 is over again. Even with COVID-19, we want to, secure safety and provide all of that. But provide tennis opportunities in the area of Charleston. And we have players now, which I was actually really happy about: Florida, North Carolina, Georgia. So it's really nice to see players coming from all around the state to play that tournament. Yeah.
Nice. So again, it's charlestontennis.com.
Charlestontenniscircuit.com.
Excuse me. Okay, charlestontenniscircuit.com is where you can go to see the schedule of events and the links to actually register for the events.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
And I have one last thing for sure. And a big thank you to all the sponsors. I have to, of course, I want to recognize, Zelenko has been supporting from the get-go, which is amazing. They're providing, all our kids getting a string from Zelenko. We have a nice welcome bag with the CTC logo. We are always to brand everything we do. But also we have Sports Master. I don't know if you've heard about them. They're doing resurfing courts,
Yes.
hard courts. Yes, they've been really generous in supporting the whole mission of Charleston Tennis Circuit, and have been doing a great job. And yeah, there are many other local partners as well, which are like, you know, making CTC possible. So I'm very grateful for all of the supporters. And we call it, we call it Game Changers.
Love it.
Yeah, so we come up with funny names. So, you know, they get like a little brochure. They're all presented in here. So it's going to be nice. So all the kids and parents, they have it in the welcome deck, and just making sure that, you know, we have our partners presented in the tournament too.
That's fantastic. You were going to share your screen on something, and we had talked about that before we went on air. Do you still want to do that?
Yeah, I can definitely show that. Like we will, and hopefully you can see it now.
Here, let me bring it up.
We have basically COVID-19 guidelines, and we have like an infographic. So we will be hanging those out during the whole venue, like so on the court, so that you can see it. It's basically saying, you know, keep the 6 feet distance. You're wiping everything after the court. Bring your own chair. Just come ready to play tennis. You know, in your outfits. The locker rooms are closed, so you don't have to go inside. You know, so we're gonna hang those everywhere at the facility, so everybody knows. We're gonna send them out by email before the tournament starts, so people and parents feel like, oh yeah, we feel safe. We know what we have to do, and yeah, they're gonna be all over the tournament and at the venue to be seen.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to take that back down so we can be back on the screen. Hang on. Here we go. So Marcus Dayton is commenting all kinds of stuff and asking you to do stuff, Sandy. So you're going to have to go on our Facebook page and read all of his comments. He's got all
another couple coming up.
Anything else I haven't asked you that you need us to know about the recruiting stuff and about your Charleston Tennis Circuit?
One last thing about the Charleston Tennis Circuit. If people are coming from further away, Wild Dunes is a very nice hotel resort as well. Like all the kids can register and they get 25% discount, but they're not obligated to stay there. It's just an option. We're not making obligated. And yeah, what I can just say from my end is, Lisa, thank you so much. And if there are any questions for any of your parents, whenever you get a request, please feel free to reach out to me, forward me the information. I'm here to help and answer any question with regards to recruiting. If it's international recruiting, great. If it's recruiting in the United States, I'm here to help. And I've been doing this for the last 10 years, and I love what I'm doing, and I love building relationships with coaches and players and families. So if there's anything I can help you with your journey and helping parents, I'm here to help. So, and I'm very grateful that you had me here on the show, and keep doing a fantastic job. I really enjoy watching everything.
Thanks so much, Sandy, and thanks for taking time, because I know you are a busy guy these days. And just a reminder to all of you, if you're interested in getting more information on the Charleston Tennis Circuit, it's just charlestontenniscircuit.com. Very simple. And all the links to register for the events will be there. And you can also reach out to Sandy through the website or by commenting on this live stream, and he'll take a look at that. If you have questions regarding recruiting stuff too. So again, thanks, Sandy, so much. It's Friday. I'm so at a loss for time.
Yeah,
I
me too.
took the day off yesterday and actually went up to Los Angeles and went berry picking with we went hiking first, and then we went berry picking.
Beautiful. And
yeah, it was really nice to have a day with my daughter, and then my other daughter came for dinner. So we had a nice day, but I'm kind of out of whack. Yesterday seemed like Saturday all day, and now it's Friday. I don't know. Anyway.
I got you. Before the tournament, the week before the tournament is always like all over the place.
Right?
You're just trying to figure out where you're at right now.
Exactly. But again, thank you so much for doing this. And for the parents, if you're looking for a competitive opportunity for your child, please check out charlestontenniscircuit.com, and have a great weekend, everybody. We have another one of these live streams coming on Monday to talk about USTA's announcement earlier this week. So hopefully y'all will tune in for that one. And if there's any topic that you'd like to see us discuss on this kind of platform here, please reach out to me. I am open. If you would like to come on and talk about something, I'm open to that too. I'm just trying to get information out to the families out there who are just kind of struggling with how to get their children back on the courts, back training, back competing. So we're here for you. Sandy, have a great weekend, and best of luck with your event.
Thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated. You have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.